Greetings, everyone. I hope you're all having a great night. Welcome to yet another Brony Debates Live. Tonight, we are talking about controversial characters as suggested by our friend to the far right of the frame, or the far left of the frame, rather, Mr. Concert Cruizer. So, before we get straight into that, let's give a quick shout out to all of my very generous supporters on Patreon who make these streams and my continued content creation possible, especially those folks at the $10 and up tier. Two of them are in the stream with us tonight. They are author of the Equestrian City Heroverse series Malcontent and DJ Skywalker. We also got to give a shout out to Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden Girder, Senko, Jennan Kellogg, and Kyle Christensen. So, like I said, this topic was suggested by Concert Cruizer over there. So there are a good number of characters throughout Friendship is Magic that for some reason the Brony fandom just loved to hate on. One of them was even Rainbow Dash. So, Cruiser, why don't you give us a breakdown of why you wanted to talk about this topic tonight?
Because honestly, I think it's time to put the internet meme rage aside and let's look at these truthfully. Like, look, we all had our fun, but now let's really get to the nitty-gritty of this and find out, are they really that bad? And can we let the joke go now?
Let it go, and
I don't know if that's possible with the internet. I don't think that.
That's a good point. So let's go down the line and give our greetings. So right next to Cruiser on the far left there, we've got returning author Malcontent. How are you doing tonight, Mal?
Pretty good. I'm glad to be on here. I can't wait to talk about. We're here to talk about just one, aren't we? Or who are we talking about?
we got a good list of characters here.
Oh,
5.
Yep, five specifically.
I can only just think of one.
There's
clearly go on about.
Yep, and there's more if we have time, but I don't know if we'll have time. And so then, left of center, just like his political views, we've got Past Analysis. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for that fascinating introduction.
It was coincidental and it seemed fitting, so I went with it.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm doing good. Been playing a little bit of Town of Salem.
All right. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And then standing right next to me, the Blue Pegasus, returning once again, Mr. DJ Skywalker. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. I'm having a nice meal, but it's missing something.
Yeah, what is it missing?
For the salt.
That's why you don't get steak from Red Lobster. You're not. But we'll get into that later. So, watching over the stream tonight, copying down your interesting comments and your questions, as well as making sure you all behave yourselves in the chat, is Mr. Filmer Brony, another one of my patrons. How are you doing tonight, Filmer?
Doing excellent, Brony.
Good. It's great to finally have you on. We tried to get you on the show a few times and things always fell through, but we got it this time and you're sounding great. So, for those of you tuning in for the first time, this is how it works. We're going to parlay about our topic for about 40 to 45 minutes, maybe 50. Just keep it as natural as possible. And then within the last 15 minutes of the stream, we're going to get to the questions and the interesting comments that you've been leaving us throughout the stream. So feel free to converse among yourselves, and we will take a look at it in a little bit. So, Cruiser, this is your topic. So I'd like you to start us off. We seem to get a lot of hate for Rainbow Dash in this fandom. Why does Rainbow Dash get so much hate, and is it justified?
Honestly, I think it's because she comes off as a lot of people say she's cocky, but I'd say that's the wrong word. I'd say she's confident. Now, she has had moments where she slipped into cockiness, but that's really as far as, I guess you could say, how bad she ever gets. It never got anywhere too bad. I know there's 246 great, but that's a discussion for another topic, for another day, I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think also when it comes to the Brony fandom, they please forgive me, people, for using this word, but I think they might be a little jealous that they don't have that kind of confidence in them.
Ooh, we're getting called out today. That is the hottest take I've heard in a little bit, and we're 5 minutes into the stream. Okay, so
that's very controversial. I like.
Yeah, so who can tell me why Cruizer is wrong?
I mean, I would more so just add on to that.
Really?
Probably I mean, it might be that. Another thing to consider is that, and I can't really back any of this up. I don't have any evidence. I'm just going off of what a guess. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that she kind of comes across like a jock. And how many bronies are on the other social spectrum? I mean,
not many.
Something to consider.
No, that's a bit cliche. I don't know if we want to.
It is a bit cliche, but it's just I'm just spitballing here.
At some point, you do have to face what could be the truth.
Yeah.
So what's the truth then, Cruizer?
Yeah. What is the truth?
I think Past hit the nail on the head. That she kind of that she's a bit of a jock and she's very athletic, and let's face it, a lot of us are just not in shape, including myself.
Well, beyond the just in shape part, so I actually relate to Rainbow Dash a lot on a personality level, especially when I was younger, like when like in my early 20s when the show first started. Like I would have put myself somewhere between Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie in terms of personality. So she was one of my favorites. I was all about that kind of thing. The confidence, the physical training constantly, the
really happy.
Yeah, that as well, and definitely had a bit more of a trollish nature about myself. I mean, I definitely didn't lose that, but
you don't strike me as jovial.
Yeah, not many people would say that I am, but
sharing a hotel room with him.
Oh,
the weird thing is though that, and kind of adding on to that, how many people here would say that Rainbow Dash was her first favorite, and then they kind of meandered to other characters? Because that was true for me. Like, she was my favorite character when I was getting into it, because she was more,
Yeah, but that's exactly what I'm getting to here, is that most people I knew found that personality type to be very abrasive. Whereas I almost saw it as something that could be role modeled. Because having that type of confidence is actually very good for you. Now, confidence is a double-edged sword. It can very easily turn into cockiness, which is...
Yes, it brought down an empire.
Yeah, which is annoying, to say the least. But, so confidence is where you know what you can do. Now, knowing what you can do in a realistic standpoint is also knowing what you can't do, and either striving to bridge that gap, or when you say you cross that bridge before you come to that bridge before you're ready to cross it, you have the wisdom to say, okay, this is beyond me right now. If I continue down this path as I am, I'm going to make a fool of myself. So that's what Cruizer and I mean. I'm not sorry if I misspoke for you, Cruizer, when we talk about confidence. So with that tends to come certain personality traits like a boisterousness, an on again, off again work ethic, where you're either going into something 110%, or if it's not something you're interested in, you just don't bother with it. But why does that make somebody a bad character?
Other than Pony says, what did a character in MLP do to make you guys hate them?
Well, let's save copy that question down for me, Filmer, and let's save it for the end. Sound good?
I think one thing to add on to that is that you kind of have to separate, and maybe people don't mean it in the way that you're talking about. So you can dislike a character, because of their arc or, some aspect of how they were written, and then you can dislike their personality or their just general behaviors. And I think that's probably where more people fall with Rainbow Dash, is that they don't dislike her as a character. I think she's actually quite a good character, but as as a person in this fictional world.
Well, she was kind of not really utilized real properly in the opening of the show, quite frankly, because she was often just the butt of jokes, and she was just there for, scenery. Sometimes it seemed like it didn't seem like she was developed as a character until they finally started doing that further on.
Here's a fun fact to supplement what Malcontent just said. She was actually, for the first 5 seasons, on the receiving end of most of the slapstick. Even beating out Spike.
Which is a pretty big thing to do.
Well, I mean, after once or twice, it's clear you're running out of episode material if your entire episode is just based on either slapstick or Rainbow Dash having a problem and then coming to some sort of epiphany in 22 minutes. It's not the same as a moment of joking, but having the whole episode circle around it just kind of got old.
But how could it have gotten old if we're just dealing with something that was coming into arc in the first season or so?
But that quite easily. I mean, you're seeing the same thing happen over and over when it comes to either the trope or the writing elements of it. I mean, if you watch any of these episodes, you can see exactly where they're going within about 3 minutes. You can see the stuff
over and over in season 1. I mean, we don't literally mean that. It's probably like every one or so. Like, how many episodes in season 1 could we qualify as kind of making her the butt of a joke? I don't think that there's that many in season 1.
Well, I don't want it to be portrayed as like just the first season, but if you look at the first, what did we have, like nine seasons? If you look at maybe the first 5 seasons, it seemed like there wasn't that much going on except, hey, I want to be a Wonder Ball, And there was that awful, I can't even remember what it was, but we decided to have her take on everybody else's personality for the entire episode, and that was just that hurt.
Yeah, that was I think
I swear to God, I'm the only one who thought that was funny.
That was not funny. That was so cringeworthy. I have not cringed in real life except for that episode for the last decade.
That was a painful way to finalize an arc that we had been waiting for years or seasons.
You guys just need to have thicker skin.
Dad,
no, it just was boring. It was a boring episode.
Thank you. It was absolutely boring. It was like, oh, gee, I wonder what she's going to do next. Oh, what? Let's just look at her hairstyle. No. Okay, fast forward.
Now, as much as that was arguably the cringiest 5 minutes of the show, I actually expected it to play out like that. Because when people forget that when you've got your goal and you get to that goal, the storybook doesn't close. The time goes on and life goes on, and what do you do now that you're in that goal? And that episode asked that question, and how Rainbow Dash, with her giant ego, would be able to would deal with coming down and humbling herself to work as a team instead of working
solo player.
Right, instead of working for herself. And I thought that was an amazing depiction of what can happen and how we can avoid doing that ourselves. So, and people are saying, "Oh, Rainbow Dash is a horrible character." It's things like that make me say, "No, she's a great character, and you should be more like her."
Yeah. See, of all the people that you listed off, I just don't see that being a problem with Dash. I mean, she's got some element. I think she needs some visible handicaps or flaws, honestly, because she does come off as almost too confident, and that's how Sonic got canceled a long time ago. But
wait, what?
Yeah, apparently Sonic was too cocky, and ABC didn't like that, so they.
I have never heard this, but I don't have anything.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What do you mean by Sonic got canceled? They still have games.
The Saturday morning cartoon series.
Yeah,
is what-
the actual, the only decent one before they decided to have a band, which makes no damn sense.
I will fight you for that. Well, not the underground. I agree on the underground. No, that was shit. But
off topic, guys. That's
off topic.
All right.
Spinning back. But I mean, yeah, she does come off as too cocky sometimes, and I mean, she needed more kind of like some sort of actual handicap about her, because she seemed to be able to do just about everything. I mean, if I were gonna do it, I'd give her like a handicap. As a matter of fact, I think I did. But that was my main problem with her originally, is that she just seemed like she could do too much of everything, and that's a bad character in general.
Oh, that's an interesting take. DJ, I haven't heard from you much yet. Do you have anything to say?
How's that steak?
It was actually very good.
Red Lobster steak.
But, for Rainbow Dash hate, I guess from my point of view, it's always seemed to be against popularity, honestly. Because when you're outside the Brony fandom looking in, there's one character that you see on everything, and it's Rainbow Dash.
Well, it's because she's bright and colorful. That's just a marketing thing.
Yes, but that can backfire on people that don't like the show, or people that are into the show and have that whole deal where if something's popular, it must be bad.
To a degree, the way I understood it was the characters that show up most on your products and your marketing are the most popular ones. So what I noticed in being a Brony is that it was Twilight was always there. And then it would shift between some combination of Twilight, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, or Fluttershy. Some combination, but never all four. And as we got past season 4, I started seeing Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie a lot more. But at the beginning, it was almost always at least Twilight and Rainbow Dash. So that's I don't think that point really holds up. So
that's what I was always saying. Before I got into the show, the one thing I always saw was Rainbow. I never saw Twilight until I actually watched the show.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it just goes back to my original. I personally think that's the reason that she's on a lot of things to begin with, and then as it gained popularity, they were like, hey, look, we should expose more of these people. People love this. Let's buy this. You know, I think that's where it comes from. You don't go forward with everybody unless they tell.
So, what do we think? So, what do we think on Rainbow Dash now? Do we have any closing thoughts on her?
Let's keep her.
Yeah. So what do we think about people who think she's a bad character? Are they right or are they wrong?
I think they just have a misinterpretation of her. I don't want to say they're flat out wrong. I just think they got the wrong idea.
It's a very surface level.
I think they might be hating for the wrong reasons. I mean, there are perfectly good reasons to hate, and that's not one of them.
All right, and with that, let's move on to the next character that I have written down. Now, this one was a fan favorite for a long time, and I have always hated her guts. I was very, like, from a religious and philosophical standpoint, I was glad when she got redeemed in season 3. But you know, leading up to that,
a build up.
Yeah, leading up to that, and ever since, didn't do a single thing right, and just reminded me of people in my life that drove me absolutely nuts. Trixie, but Trixie was everywhere in the Brony fandom. And it was just overrated syndrome as far as I could tell. And you might be able to tell by my voice that I'm still kind of annoyed by Trixie. So, am I wrong for disliking Trixie? Someone tear me a new one here.
Absolutely not.
Excuse you, Brony. It is the great and powerful Trixie.
Not so much anymore.
Says the Trixie color palette ripoff. Does anybody with a valid opinion have anything to say?
Okay. I would say that in the beginning, yes, I would definitely agree with you. She, it was even too extreme for me. But I think a big reason why people liked her is because basically she was a wrestling villain.
Really?
Yep.
Can you elaborate on that one?
I could definitely agree with that. That's actually here in one of my notes.
Yeah, so a heel.
Yeah, she was essentially a heel. Because let's face it, Brony, I honestly think you loved to hate her. Did you not hear that big introduction you just gave? Unless you have...
Yeah, that's a build-up right there. That was an actual, the Thunder from Down Under. That was actually how that went.
You do realize Thunder from Down Under is a male strip play, right?
Yeah, they come through here every now and then. Let's not talk about that.
Okay, but yeah, she, everything is there. Her fake apology, that cockiness attitude, thinking that she is way better than she actually is. Rainbow at least has a realistic idea of her capabilities. Trixie, however, thinks that she could take over Equestria if she wanted to.
Honestly, I think they should have killed her for that, but I mean, that's a whole other discussion. She started out as a simple villain, and this episode needs a villain. Quick, somebody draw me something. All right, here, let's swap some palettes around. Here you go. So trying to imprint her as more than a person that she started out two-dimensional, and when you try to make someone like that that's written that way three-dimensional, it doesn't typically work, especially that speaking in the third person. That was cute for an episode, but it's hard to take anyone seriously when they talk in the third person, because I had somebody I worked with like that, and it just doesn't work.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yes, it was. Ooh.
Yeah. So, does anybody else have anything to say about Trixie?
I never really understood the hate, if I have to be perfectly honest.
All right, tell me why.
Well, I mean, I just always enjoyed her in a comical sense. I guess for those who treat her more dryly, but I mean, part of the problem is that she was introduced in Ghostbusters, and the way that they characterized her in that episode was weird, because all of the main six were like, oh, she's so arrogant. She's a show person. She's putting on a show. Of course she's coming off as arrogant.
That's kind of the shtick.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a heel wrestler.
Yes, exactly. I must be in Quahog because I'm surrounded by morons. Yeah, they're supposed to play up and make you hate them.
Mel loses points for the Family Guy reference.
Yes, you do, Mal.
What were you saying, DJ?
Oh, go ahead.
She was taken too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
She was never a villain until they made her one.
And I honestly think that episode
wasn't a villain.
I think they just kept going back to the well too many times with her. I mean, that whole thing with her and Sunset felt forced. It's like they owed the actress contractually a lot of line.
Like Trixie and Sunset?
What?
Oh,
Well, Trixie was extremely popular with the Bronies, even after her first appearance. And I think that's why she showed up.
I'll side with you on that and say essentially that they're absolutely wrong for that.
Right, and the thing about it is, the reason why she drives me so nuts is not only did I have people in my life that are just like Trixie, so it's like, okay, here, imagine this. Imagine just having about a dozen people in your life that act just like Trixie, and it causes you nothing but trouble and stresses you out all day, and you come home from a long day of dealing with that kind of crap and say, okay, now it's time to watch some ponies and unravel. We're talking season 6, 7, 8, and we're seeing a lot more Trixie. And Trixie starts teleporting the table places and can't remember where she puts it, and Starlight is going gray early, and there's this big red somber looking cloud over her head. I don't want to deal with that when I'm supposed to be relaxing. I just got done dealing with 3 other Trixies. I don't want to come home and deal with Trixie.
It's oversaturation.
And she never, throughout the whole series, got beyond that.
No, that's why she and Starlight got along so well. They're both useless.
Ooh, that hurt.
Sake.
I'm sensing a pattern here between Brony and Mal.
What's this
The
pattern?
reason of hatred is because you've experienced that personality in real life.
Yeah, that is very true. That is very true.
I
That's why people
I
think
also
that-
was not ready for the heel point, and I have no good comeback for that.
Are you saying that you accept defeat, Brony?
On that point, sir, I certainly do. But here's the thing. Realistic characters, well, maybe I shouldn't say realistic because I just got done ranting about how many people just like Trixie I know, but I think it's better writing if there is at least some kind of progression and growth in the character, and that's what I was getting to right there. Is Trixie never experienced that? She was cocky by the definition that I talked about while I was talking about Rainbow Dash when she came in. She got her butt kicked. Came back for revenge of a problem that she started and nobody else had ever thought about, but it just stuck with her for so long. Got her butt kicked again. Came back 3 seasons later, still didn't learn anything. Was still acting the same way. Got her butt kicked all throughout season 7. The end of halfway through season 6, the only cool thing she did was sacrifice herself so that to the changeling, so the rest could get away. Didn't do anything productive in season 7. Oh, and another thing is that wasn't even tactically a good sacrifice to make at the end of
it wasn't.
Right. And then season 8 and then in season 9 and she's like, "Oh, we're going to have you be the counselor." No. Because she was breaking international relationships and she's supposedly in her element right there. So that can somebody so I get that in the beginning, yeah, I'm supposed to hate her, she's a heel. I can concede that, but can anybody give me any sort of redeeming quality or contradict anything I'm saying right now?
She's a lovely shade of blue.
In my opinion, Trixie can be real stubborn on the inside, but she can be really friendly, and she can be really friendly on the outside from town.
Yeah, because when we saw that one episode that Brony was just talking about, where she was driving Starlight up a wall, we got a chance to see how she thinks of Starlights, and it was definitely very sweet. And so she may not come off it, but she does care about her friend.
Well,
It's kind of like breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, I don't know entirely about that. The only reason that's her friend is because that's the only one that can really trust her. So of course you're going to go to that light in the dark.
Well, as Starlight said in the episode where they first met, No Second Prances, the reason they got along so well is because they could actually relate to each other. People were able to, they couldn't separate what she did in the past. And
I will say, though, on a tangent about that episode, it was a little dumb because Starlight, none of them knew about your whole thing with that other village. Literally, none of them knew.
Right.
So, but I mean, I get where you're coming from, Brony. I just kind of think maybe, yeah, some characters are just dicks.
So all right, let's get down to the crux of the issue
that's
then.
Some very good wisdom right there. That could go on a bumper sticker.
Some people are just dicks.
Yeah, thank you, Cozy Glow. But let's get to the crux of that issue then. Am I wrong for disliking this character so much then?
No,
not at all. No, you're absolutely
Not at
right.
all.
Okay.
I would praise you for that.
Now, I used to one of my favorite troll moves, like before 2000, I'd say 11 or 12, was to walk in a room full of bronies and go, "Hey, Trixie sucks and Luna's overrated," and then just book it. But as the fandom got older, oh yeah, I used to also go into rooms and call Bon Sweetie Drops, and that would do the trick half the time too. But anyway, I would catch so much flack for that, and I thought it was hilarious. But thankfully, as the fandom got older, people started coming to their senses, especially around season 7. The last thing I can say about Trixie, what was the name of that episode where her and Starlight went on that adventure to Saddle Arabia, and Starlight sold off Trixie's wagon? That was the one time Trixie did nothing wrong, and so I guess I can give her credit for that. And unless somebody else has something to say, should we move down the list here?
She's a dick, but she's a friendly dick.
Yeah, I like her.
Sounds like a title in a Discord server. I was like dick.
It's kind of like that. It's like that thing people used to say to a good friend. There's like you're a monster, but you're our monster.
Alrighty then. So the next name on my list is Flash Sentry. So how do we feel about Flash Sentry past?
Well, I mean, I think he's pretty okay, but I have a clear bias in this, so I'm not a very good person to base it off of.
Well, I want to hear what you think, biases and all.
Okay, well, I mean, I just kind of thought he was bland in the beginning. Maybe I hated him, but he was just bland. He was just a bland character that didn't really have anything that made him stand out.
Yep.
And, you know, contrary to the whole meme of, you know, his name is Brad, my name is Brad, and Sun to Shimmer, you get the picture. Other than that, I started to like him more probably beginning with Legends of Everfree, because it just seemed like he was more pathetic there.
He just keeps trying and he keeps getting shot down.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, it's something. It's a character trait.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
All right. So when Flash Sentry first showed up, like before we even knew his name, everybody was so mad at him. Waifu Stealer. Those names will ring out for forever.
Indeed.
Yeah, Waifu Stealer. And I saw so many, like, FiMfictions. And it's weird how FiMfiction is a good way to get, like, a pulse on what the Brony fandom thinks about certain characters. He was the butt of every joke. He was the first to get killed off in any context where somebody was going to get killed off. So
I didn't do that.
Why do people hate Flash Sentry so much?
I don't honestly I've heard that reason. I've heard that reason of Waifu Stealer, and honestly, I've never understood it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can go.
Well, definitely, you know, being a waifu stealer is one of them. I do think this whole thing does come down to waifus, because at the end of the day, he's pretty harmless. That's the only thing he really did was pursue Twilight, and that's what really got people angry, because because they want to be the ones that date Twilight. In fact, I remember one of the things I kept hearing from people was, he's just a self-insert so people can think they're dating Twilight, to which I had to say, then shouldn't you be happy?
Yeah.
But the other thing is that, and this kind of goes back to Rainbow Dash as well, the fact that Flash actually came off as, before he met Twilight, he kind of came off as cool, confident, and the guy was a decent guitar player. Something that I think a lot of bronies in the beginning of the fandom weren't.
That is.
So it sounded like Malcontent was about to say something, but Cruiser wasn't done with it yet. Do you remember what you were going to say?
I remember a couple of that whole idea of this this waifu stealer thing. I just don't understand. I'm with our fellow panel member on that. It doesn't seem to make any sense, because you could probably just write something yourself and it won't even make any difference. And you know, Twilight's not even that interesting anyway. But that, again, that's another branch. Flash was a throwaway character. Honestly, they had one shot with Equestria Girls. They were going to be like, all right, well, here's that, we're done. And they needed someone just to make Twilight semi more interesting. And then they realized they had to go back. and they made this deliberately flat character, and now they had to use some of those assets, and you can't make him interesting. He's not even that interesting as a pony.
Well, he literally has no lines. Well, outside of Equestria Girls, he literally has no lines.
You can't simply reassign something that wasn't meant to be meaningful to begin with, aside from maybe 78 minutes worth of throwaway slush. It just doesn't work. You can't go back and try to fix a flat tire with the...
Right, and I'm taking a cursory glance at the chat here, and a lot of folks are saying roughly the same thing. Is that people, and I think Scan, and like I was chastising myself before we started the stream of how Scan, the Black Griffin that comes on here sometimes is really didn't like Flash Sentry either, and it was because he was pointless. Is what I'm seeing in the chat, and that's what Scan says all the time. Is that
I hope Wong is listening.
Yeah, he was pointless, and then he muscled in on their fictional romantic territory.
Okay, there's all sorts of problems with that on a different scale. The attempt to reassign Flash and Sunset later, too, just fell flat because canon-wise, you can't have your main characters hooking up with anyone because it starts to cause all sorts of problems. Equally, you can't have them dancing around like will they or won't they, because you're going to piss people off because they don't get together and piss people off when they do if you decide to do that. So it's just a lose-lose situation.
Right. So if you're going to go with that route as a writer, you got to pick one, you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
What I was about to say is that when the Equestria Girls YouTube series was going off, we did see more with Flash and Sunset, and people didn't really seem to mind that. I never saw anything in the comments section saying that, oh great, now he's stealing this waifu. People didn't seem to mind Flash and Sunset. It was really seemed to be Flash and Twilight that got people riled up.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize. I mean, it's looking back over my notes here. It's the same thing about, that's the same reason why they're not calling that Rarajack thing some sort of canon thing. You just can't solidify anything because you're going to start plucking all your feathers before they're hatched. That didn't sound right.
Counting your chickens before they hatch, Malcontent.
Mm-hmm.
Also, on this whole subject, one thing that's interesting is in the now time of Sunset and Flash Sentry, one thing that you might find is that there's a weird amount of people out there who don't like Flash because the series is skewing in that angle and they prefer Sunset and Sci-Twi. That's another thing. That's
an entirely creepy moment. Hey, I'd like to date you because you look like somebody I'd like to date. There's all sorts of problems like that. We do not want to promote that to our younger watchers.
Yeah.
Hey, it's okay. Just go for somebody that looks like her. That's all right.
I have heard that people who date an identical twin sometimes even get them confused for each other. So I can't fault that 100%.
Well, I think it's more out of like a wishing that this they want Sunset to end up with Sci-Twi and not Flash Sentry. And
that's no, I don't see.
Well, that's why they spiked it into the ground so hard. And back when Equestria Girls was coming out, when the first Equestria Girls movie had come out, and everybody said that it was pointless from a story perspective, and I guess I can't argue against that. But from a character perspective, they were like, "Why is Twilight attracted to Flash Sentry?" And it made perfect sense from a character standpoint for me, being suddenly thrust into the body of a human teenager, may very well find another human teenager attractive, and psychologically, it was certainly there were certainly like the first person that's nice to you, you might develop some kind of bond for them, like that. They didn't take it too far. Twilight never kissed him, even though she came close a couple of times. But the attraction was definitely there. So,
not to mention also, it's been hinted at in movies before that if a person actually is transported into the body of another animal, that you will at least develop instincts that creature would have. Like if you remember in The Sword and the Stone, the old Disney movie, the kid was turned into a fish, and he suddenly had a craving for bugs.
Right.
So then, by that idea, we could connect that. Okay, no, that goes down a different.
So DJ, I haven't heard from you in a little bit. What do you think?
I just have no thoughts on him really. He's just there.
I would have
There.
expected you of all people to have thoughts, because you came into the fandom on Equestria Girls.
Yeah, but he was just there. I never hated him. Never cared for him. I liked that he got a little interesting as the Equestria Girl series went on. But I've got no strong feelings either way for him.
Might as well be a cutout palm.
I guess I'm a little apathetic towards him. I don't hate him, and I don't think anyone else ever should have. They just got caught up in their stupid shipping wars.
So, with that,
Twilight has to be shipped with every main 6, but she can't be shipped with a male.
yeah, that's the problem. Here's the thing, writers. If you have an opportunity to ship the main 6 with each other, don't ship the main 6 with each other.
Yeah, don't do that.
They kind of did it at the very end.
Because that's not what friends are for, okay, people? You make friends because you need social networking, not, you're not supposed to go.
I recognize that the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid frickin' decision, I've elected to ignore it. So with that being said, are we wrong? Is the fandom wrong for hating on Flash Sentry? What do we think?
Yes.
Actually hating,
No.
yes.
Okay, I heard a no in there. Give us some closing thoughts on that. No, not crickets. The crickets. The fairy frickin' godmother said it.
Oh wait, were you referring to me?
Somebody had to say no. He didn't make it up.
I thought you were talking about the person who said yes, we should hate him. But since I'm the one who said no, because honestly, he's just not worth it. He didn't do anything.
Flash
That's the
Sentry did
problem.
nothing wrong.
All right.
Yeah,
Free hat, free hat.
I mean, like,
the reason why I answer no because I don't think Flash Sentry isn't that bad. He's one of the good guys I know from.
All right, so let's move on to the next gentleman here. One that absolutely drives me up a wall, Mr. Timber Spruce from Legend of Everfree, and then going out with and then that definitely blossomed into overt romance way quicker than I would have liked.
Yeah, his name still just sounds like an air freshener.
Now in the beginning, I thought he was way older than Twilight, and that definitely didn't seem appropriate. And I had Cruiser and I both had plenty of jokes about that.
Oh yeah.
As if that's something to joke about. But yeah, I freaking hate Timber Spruce. I think he's unprofessional at best. So but for some reason the fandom
Looking for
what did you
Predator.
Yeah. I mean I was thinking it, but I was trying not to say it.
He's very predatory in the way he talks.
Right. And I have heard since then that you pretty much go to camp to hook up, but I guess I can understand counselor to counselor, but counselor to to camper, even if you all are the same age, is probably not a good idea.
That doesn't seem appropriate, no.
Right.
What camp are you people going to out there?
So Timber Spruce is my definite hate boner. And but I haven't seen as much hate for Timber Spruce as I have for Flash Sentry. So what do the rest of you guys think?
that actually baffles me. Because that really does. And honestly, I think the reason why is because, again, this kind of goes back to my whole jealousy thing. You look at someone like Flash Sentry, the guy came off, again, before he met Twilight, as a cool rocker. Timber, not so much on that same level of confidence, again, before Twilight came around. He was just some kid who lived in the woods but would rather be in the city.
Right, so Flash Sentry, when he opened up, he was feigning confidence, but clearly had no idea what he was doing and seemed genuine at the very least. Timber Spruce rolled up with his smooth freaking pickup lines that he pulled out of some How to Get a Girl pickup artist book the night before. I don't trust people who roll up like that.
No, he's got a Han Solo element about him that falls flat on its face.
Right.
While I found that adorable.
And not to mention also, Brony.
She's not that smart.
Bryan and I talked about this in the Legend of Everfree video we did. The fact that, according to the script, it says he's like 16. However, in the actual movie, the guy looks like he's in his early 20s.
Yep.
That looks creepy as hell.
Yeah, they definitely gave him a slightly more mature build than if they had copy pasted Flash Sentry, it wouldn't have been so, and then changed the colors and the hairdo, it wouldn't have been so immediate. It wouldn't have been so bad.
About something else.
No, it wouldn't have been so bad. I would,
the animator's fault.
Perhaps it was. So has anybody else seen Timber Spruce get as much hatred as I have for him?
Nope.
That's the weird part. I don't see that as much, and I think it's basically because everybody is too busy hating Flash.
Oh God. That
and also, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it, Cruiser. I'm sorry.
That and also, I think the Brony, or just kind of being a Brony meme has worn off by then.
Yeah.
By the time Timber came around, people were kind of done, playing the major shipping wars at the time. Like they had moved on.
But you got to remember too, we were coming off a really bad letdown of a movie before that, and not many people came back, in my opinion.
You are one of the very few people I know in terms of the Brony fandom that did not like that movie. So
didn't like you liked 3?
I did.
Oh,
I did.
Are you talking about friendship games or the actual?
Yeah, the friendship games.
Oh, I like the friendship games.
Yeah, so did I.
I'm sorry, that's unfortunate, but no, that's I think that's why, because once we got 4 around, I mean, with Everfree, I believe was the name of it, it was all it had a jump up in both animation quality and story elements, whereas the last one just kind of fell on its face, in my opinion, and I think that lost a lot of supporters. So we didn't have as many people bitching that, hey, this person's trying to hook up with what's her face, and I don't like that, and I'm going to go and make a post about it. So, I mean, that's where I think it died off. I think we were starting to hit our downward slope, if you look at this chart.
Okay, so you're chalking it up to that not as many people hated on Timber just because there weren't as many people to hate on Timber.
Right. The masses had started going away, and then there are the people that are, hardcore fans that are more focused and less likely to just rage against something and continue on with the fandom even after it finishes and sit in Discord channels.
Alrighty then. So do we have anything else to say about Timber?
Not so much. Just again, going back to the way he looked. I mean, I remember seeing in the Equestria Girls YouTube series, there were moments where you got to see him in regular civilian clothing, and even then, he still looked like he was in his early 20s. Yeah. I just think the biggest error came from his design.
So, am I wrong for hating Timber?
No,
I don't think so.
You're legit.
Alrighty then. I felt like
misfiring with their male.
Yeah, it's a bad canon ship. Sunset Shimmer should be dating my OC.
Said everybody.
Too bad she's already dating my OC.
I'll fight you, past.
Said everybody elsewhere too.
Look, if any of you guys can top Black Griffin jumping off a cliff saying Twilight should date my OC,
no, it was out of a plane at 10,000 feet.
I liked her before she was cool, by most people's standards.
I like that somehow.
Oh, so it was past that left his flannel vest over at my house. Freaking hipster. All right, last name on my list.
Who's that?
Starlight Glimmer. Starlight Glimmer has gotten so much hate. Definitely, probably more than any other character we've talked about tonight thus far. Deservedly so, and I see Heather Blossom is in the chat, and she's going to agree with you as well. DJ, what do you think about Starlight Glimmer?
She's the best character in the show.
Why?
Whoa.
Because I love the sass.
Okay, something a little less subjective, please.
The entire
somebody-
thing was subjective.
Oh no, this is
There's
somebody
no
that eats
objective
steak
thing
from
about
Red
My Little
Lobster.
Pony.
Hold up, guys. I can't hear DJ. What did you say?
Yep, go ahead.
There's not an objective thing about this show when it comes to this fandom.
Okay, so you can't give me something concrete, something that doesn't start with "I feel" when it.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Just cause, okay.
All right. So let's go down the line here. Past. What do you think?
What do I think of Starlight? I kind of hated her in season 6. Season 7 changed it around for me. The reason
Okay.
I hated her was because she was just simply the lazy character that the writers decided to, redeem, but then they had no plan for her in season 6. There were so many episodes in season 6. A friend of mine pointed this out. You wouldn't know that Starlight Glimmer existed
Yep.
for a lot of those season 6 episodes, and then they brought it around and actually gave her, some development, go figure, in season 7. But in season 6, the reason I hated her was she was just so squandered. She got one episode where it was like kind of hers, but then it sort of delved into like a Twilight episode. I'm talking about No Second Prances. Then we got what I can only assume is a wasted episode in the Hearthwarming Tale, because it was completely unnecessary. We didn't need a Christmas, I forget what the name of the
Hearthwarming.
story is. Yeah, we didn't need that.
Amen
We
to
needed an
that.
episode that developed her more and gave her more substance. And the worst one of all is that one of the last episodes of the season, which she actually got some development, the every little thing she does. In that episode, it was revealed that she had been slacking off on doing any of her friendship duties. And I took that to mean that's why we didn't get any fucking friendship lessons in, any development for her in that season, was because she was slacking off the whole season. And then in the beginning of the next season, it looked like it was going to be terrible, because it's like, oh, now she's redeemed. Now she's really learned. Give me a break. She didn't develop at all, like hardly at all, until really season 7. The finale of season 6 was good. I would say in terms of her development, kinda, but really it was season 7 that made me like her, because she was developed.
All right, so Past, let me stop you there and give you a couple of counterpoints before Malcontent comes in here and beats me with a baseball bat. Jeez, that was some evil laughter.
It was.
So that Starlight has the same exact problem as Rainbow Dash from the beginning of the stream, is that she's very realistic and people don't like that, whereas you should be aspiring towards something like that. Everyone in this stream, everyone in this chat, everyone you've ever met has screwed up, even if not on the same magnitude as Starlight Glimmer, definitely in a similar way. Starlight Glimmer, let's put aside her dictatorship for a second, right? Because most of us never were dictators before, but just about all of us at some point in time have maliciously manipulated a friend, skipped out on something you were supposed to do and ate the consequences for it, misunderstood an instruction and ate the consequences for it. So what do you do in that situation? Do you really need to just get thrown out on your tail, or would you rather have somebody that's willing to work with you and teach you so that you can get better and make a better life for yourself? And that's why. And now so what you guys are saying is you don't believe Starlight ever learned. Well, since season 7,
That's not what I'm saying.
okay, that's what it sounded like. So correct me if I'm wrong in a second there, after Malcontent gets done beating me up. So that's the same exact type of thing. Is Starlight is very relatable and very realistic, but people think that she should have seen a harsher punishment, that they themselves would definitely not want that kind of punishment that they're asking for should they, in the past when they've done the same exact thing. Malcontent, I'm ready.
I'm sorry, which one are we talking about?
Starlight.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Wow. I'm going to actually go out there and say, I didn't appreciate her addition to the show.
Okay.
She worked good as a villain, as I've always said. She had a lot of Stalin overtones, and that's something that you need in a cartoon. Good villain material. Was clearly willing to kill, and seldom do we end up with any villain like that, and if they do, they screw it up. But the only reason she doesn't end up killing him is because Twilight uses some sort of force field. Instead of reforming, like, we know all villains do, not really, she ran away and did the smart thing, which is gather data to strike against your enemies again, and then she gets her in her sights, and then basically wins. And she just changes for no reason. People don't change like that. It takes years, if not decades, of true development as a character. They don't just come to some sort of epiphany and be like, oh, no, I guess I won't destroy the Emerald City. No, it doesn't come off like that. People aren't like that, and we shouldn't teach people that people can instantly turn on a dime like that, because that's dangerous thinking.
Well, some people are, and some people aren't. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You look at it from an outside objective perspective, and she was there to add a new toy and a new pair of eyes for new viewers, because they were starting to possibly lose viewers. So they needed somebody on there to come and say, golly, why is that? And then everybody else that was actually watching the show would be like, well, we know why that is. And then the new people watching are like, oh, thanks for asking that, Starlight. And then nothing wrong with that, but we need to call a spade when it comes to it. It's not, she wasn't needed. It was a perfect circle. You didn't need to add a seventh one in there. And the people have often equated the idea of Starlight with the way Sunset became off as popular. And Sunset needed several months, if not almost a year, to gain the trust of anyone. And Starlight comes in, and everybody's like, oh, I know you're sorry. And then you can learn all your friendship lessons like you had mentioned earlier. And the problem is that she doesn't quite learn anything, because there's at least 2 times I remember that she just literally used magic to try to fix things and make people do what she wanted, and then everybody was like, oh golly, that's silly Starlight. And she doesn't go anywhere. She ends up just being a foil or a start off point for any episode that just felt lazy. And it's enough to make me sit here and start to think about things and start to go over excuse me.
Alrighty then. So let me hit you with this real quick, and then I kind of want to hear from Cruiser, because I know he's sitting there waiting patiently.
Can I also, I want to clarify something that you kind of misunderstood what I was saying earlier. So I do want to clarify that at some point.
Yeah. Go, take 10 seconds and do it now.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So, I kind of agree with him. Maybe not as. I wouldn't go as far. It doesn't make sense that she switched motives at the end of the season 5 finale. The season 5 finale was a mess. And honestly, I think that I wouldn't be opposed if they just did a joke thing where it's like, yeah, I kind of built this up in my head as being more important, but now that I'm seeing it in real time, doesn't really, measure up. Some way to explain why she made the critical shift. But my ultimate problem with her has nothing to do with the fact that she's real life, that she's more realistic or anything like that. No, it has to do with the fact that they took the time to add this 7th character, but they didn't do anything with her for a whole season until the next season after. She was she was lazily implemented, and that is my only reason for disliking her.
Okay, so let me hit you guys with this one real quick before I pass off to Cruiser, because Malcontent was saying that she's not realistic and that people don't change like that, and every time I hear somebody say that, I remember the story of one Daryl Davis. Does anybody know who that is?
Negative.
Okay, Daryl Davis is a black gentleman who pretty much I guess this is not the right words for it, but it's the closest thing I have to describe it, would make a career out of going to Klansmen meetings and convincing people to turn away from the convincing people to turn away from the clan, and he did this just by befriending them. And and they would like give him his robes at the end of it, and he would keep them as like a trophy, so people do learn. And just earlier today I was reading a story about a guy who was very racist and didn't want to associate with his daughter anymore because she was gonna marry a black guy, and they had a daughter together. And as soon as that daughter was born, it was like a flip got switched, and it's like all that feelings of animosity just got towards people who don't look like me got thrown out the window. So people do change. People do change their minds. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's gradual, but we do have, and sometimes there are people that never learn, like we got at the very end of the show, we get Tyrek, we get Cozy Glow, we got Chrysalis that just never learned, and those, sometimes you have to know where to draw the line and neutralize somebody, but you got to make sure you give people the chance first. And with that, I want to hear from Cruizer.
Thank you. The other thing that you need to remember, too, is that when I did my video about when I spoke with Josh Haber about some of these criticisms, Twilight did not want to report her to the authorities. She wanted to see if she can, I guess you can say, reform her, because she believed that was her duty as the Princess of Friendship. And it's not so much that she instantly changed her mind, but she was on the road to recovery. I think it's a better way of putting it. Because throughout, I even remember DWK said this in one of his videos, that she may be redeemed because she has come a long way, but she wasn't really reformed until I think it was the end of season 6 when they took on Queen Chrysalis. So I think it's more of a case of she was on the road to recovery, not she was instantly forgiven or instantly changed.
Yeah, she didn't sunset shimmer this thing.
I would have to respectfully agree with that, because they gave her full access to everywhere. She wasn't treated like someone that was a threat. There was literally no restraints on her, anything.
Wait,
so
you agreed
they
with me,
did treat her like she was completely redeemed.
So wait, you said you agreed with me or you disagree with me?
I respectfully disagree on that.
Okay, because you first said agree.
Yeah, that might be my end. I'm
okay, but
trying to get some.
Free range of where exactly? Because Twilight still kept an eye on her. Basically, she became Twilight's pupil, and the only time there was definitely moments where she did use magic to fix all of her problems, with every little thing she does, but she learned her lesson at the end of the episode, like how you're supposed to do something like
Which,
this.
from a character standpoint, if I can add on to what Cruiser is saying here, is more the fault of Twilight not having a compatible teaching style than it is for Starlight as a character.
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. I guess I would agree that Twilight should share some of the blame that what Starlight is.
And like I said, like a free range to what exactly? Because
she had no restraints about her. She wasn't on parole, anything. I mean, she was, by all effects, considered redeemed by a majority of people that were watching it. There was no real after effect for, hey, you tried to enslave a whole town in undue time, which was smart, but was wasted on her.
Remember in No Second Prances, people were iffy about her, just like when she bumped into Trixie and she revealed that the people were iffy about her as well. If you want to talk about her
weren't.
They were.
Well, elaborate on that, Past. Why weren't they like? Why is that wrong, Past?
Because the Ponyville, none of the Ponyville citizens showed any sign that they understood her past. They didn't seem like they were bothered. There was a literal moment in that episode where she's standing in a public square area, near a fountain, and she starts stressing out, and everyone's like, what? Because it didn't make any sense to any of them.
Yeah, I got to side with Past on that one. Now everybody in Ponyville knows who Trixie is because Trixie targeted Ponyville very specifically and had a very bad effect on Ponyville. Everything Starlight did from a technical standpoint never happened. So they don't know who that is. So I agree with Past there.
You want to take up? Sorry, go ahead.
Let's give it some closing thoughts here. Cruiser, finish what you were saying.
I will agree that the people of Ponyville didn't know anything about Starlight, but if you want to take issue with her former villagers for giving her way too easily, that's something that I'm afraid at least I cannot look at from a meta perspective. Because again, when I spoke with Josh Haber, this is what Hasbro wanted, and that's not something that he can control.
Well, I don't think anyone's assigning blame. I don't.
No, I think you're angry for the wrong reason, is what I'm saying. Like, don't take it out on Starlight. Take it out on the fact that this is what Hasbro believed was right.
Well, no, I mean it would be foolish to hate a fictional character. I think the implementation of the character was wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
But is it really worth putting this much hatred on her?
Hatred is a strong word.
Yeah,
disapproval, maybe.
Well, I have to look at people's reactions. Everyone from Heather Blossom, hey Heather, how's it going? To when Malcontent and I first originally talked about this long beforehand of this, and even some of my own friends who I am not going to name drop here. I have to ask, are you being too overly angry at this character?
If anything, I'm more angry at the show staff for being so lazy. One of the things I've heard in defense of Starlight, which I don't think is a very good defense, is, well, they rushed it. They didn't have a plan. That's not an excuse.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, maybe there are some people out there who do, go over the top and, really seem like they hate her for, way less of a reason. I just disliked her because I viewed her as a sign that the show staff was being really, really sloppy.
And one of the things I've stated before is that this show is not written like an anime. They're getting new things thrown at them constantly.
Like, what was the point of making her a good character? Making her part of the main 6, now main 7. What was the point of that at the end of season 5 if they knew that they weren't going to spend a lot of time on her in season 6? What was the point of that? Why couldn't you have just waited then? It would have been a new thing because we would have had a carryover from a previous season. But honestly, that would have been better, in my opinion, than having this giant question in the air during the entire season 6 of where is this character? What's going on? I don't understand.
So let's close it up there unless DJ, who we haven't heard from in a little bit, has anything to say.
I'm just enjoying the salt.
Yeah, there's a lot of salt getting thrown around here from both sides. So let's. I'm sorry, were you saying something, Cruiser? Yeah, do it.
No, let me just finish this one last thought. All I'm going to finish off when it comes to Starlight is this. The big reason why I like her is because, to me, she reminds me of someone who was released from prison and is trying to fit back into polite society. And if I have to sit around and wait for that episode to happen, I'm going to do it because I know that this isn't, like I discussed last time, not an overarching series. I'm going to wait for it to happen, and when it does, I'll be there to watch it and give my honest opinion.
All right, so is the fandom correct for hating on Starlight? I say no. DJ?
No.
Past?
No.
Mal?
The Nation of Maltopia votes no.
And Cruiser?
Wait, hold on, Bryan, you said that...
I meant to say yes. I don't think the fandom should give Starlight as much hate as they. I'm sorry, I totally misspoke.
Yeah. Let's actually recount this one again, please.
Okay, so should the fandom hate Starlight the way it does? I say no.
I say no.
Okay, DJ.
I
said no.
All right, passed.
I would say that currently no. But I would say that back in season 6, yes, we had a right to dislike, but now no.
Okay.
So Rocky, start.
And
rocky start, definitely a rocky
I
start.
I think if I could just add maybe 20 seconds worth on there, Brony.
do it.
I think one of the problems with Starlight that I see is that she could have been a very good recurring villain. And some of what can be described as anger from some people might come from the idea that when you see something and somebody else doesn't see it and you think they should see it, you don't have time to tell them, hey, look at this is why it's wrong, and they won't really listen because they're looking just at the surface. I think that might be where some of the animosity comes from, because there are a lot of flaws with this, the way it was implemented, and she could have been used in a different way. So
Well, unless something that Cruiser or I said during tonight's debate would, cause somebody to change their mind, we'd be at an impasse about that. So yeah, that's a very good point. So is the fandom right for giving Starlight hate, Mal? Close us out.
I believe they are.
Alrighty then. So we are at an impasse there, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're a little over time, but there's nothing wrong with that either. Let's get to
Let's
some...
go to the phones.
Yeah, let's go to the phones. I like that. I'm stealing it. Aleximus Prime said, so I think it's more of an issue with the writers than the character, in reference to our earlier conversation about Rainbow Dash. There are fanfics who have depicted her better. And here's what I think about that, is that people are very multi-dimensional, multifaceted. And I don't think, and while certain writers might have encaptured different aspects of a various character's personality, that does not mean that they're out of character. It just means that they're focusing on a different situation that a character is likely to go into. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
Can you repeat that? Well, what the question was.
Okay, so for those not paying attention, Aleximus Prime says, I think it's more of an issue with the writers than the character, and that there are fanfics who have depicted Rainbow Dash better.
I would have to agree with that. In the end, it comes down to the writing team, whether they are either pressed with a deadline or just don't care. It falls on their shoulders eventually.
All right, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That Hasbro has to approve all these stories. So the writers could be trying their best, but Hasbro says, no, it has to be this way. You have to do this.
I think
so we
that's
can sell this toy.
I think that's only happened a couple of times with Josh Haber during a couple of the episodes, and with Larson for Fame and Misfortune. So, Filmer, you've been reading the chat and copying down people's interesting comments and questions, right?
Yes.
All right, what else do we got?
Josiah White says, Brony Buck, I got a theory for you. Flash Century, Tempest Bruce, and Featherbangs are all cousins.
Okay, funny story. The first BronyCon I went to, I actually got to interview Vincent Tong, and I asked him how he felt about the initial hatred he got for Flash Sentry, and he was shocked. He was stunned by it, but he told us that he found some picture someone made of Flash Sentry, Garble, and Prince Blue Blood, and it had Vincent's face on it, and said Vincent Tong, the voice of all the douchebags in MLP. And he goes, "Aw, someone took the time to make that. That's so sweet."
And that Vincent Tong ended up becoming the heel of the Brony fandom, and I love it.
I love how he plays it off, man. He is great.
Right. All right. What else do we got, Filmer?
Heather Blossom says, boy drink his milk, but before friends with benefits.
I'm sorry, repeat that. You cut out for a second.
What? Well, first off, can you hear me just fine?
Yeah, we can hear you. You just cut out for a second. So repeat the last one.
All right. Heather Blossom said, boy drank his milk, but before that she said benefits.
Alrighty then. Yeah, I'm guessing in
Is that some sort of secret message?
No, I think that's in relation to one of the ships that got teased at the end of the series. Yeah, no, we don't acknowledge that here. Not in my dojo.
I think that was in reference to Twilight being shipped with all the main six.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about how they're just friends.
I suppose that would make sense in the end.
Well, that's interestingly enough, Sweetie Bloom has said outside of, any conversation I've had here, like if you're going to ship the main six, if you ship any two of them together, you're going to disrupt the whole balance of their dynamic. So if you have to ship them, then you have to ship all six, which I think is absolutely horrible. But
that is a pretty dumb.
But I can't having zero experience with open relationships refute it. All right,
somebody just went challenge accepted listening to this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now listen, I've read some really good crack ships before. There's a story out there called Lies and Liars that successfully ships Lyra, Heartstrings, and Spike, and it's an amazing story. But if I see the main six getting shipped with each other, I'm clicking out. Paladin Pony T wanted to know what did a character in MLP do to make you guys hate them? I can't really think of anything. I liked most of the characters, aside from maybe Blue Blood for obvious reasons, but let's go down the line here. Who's got a character that they hate and why do they hate them? Aside from the ones we've talked about already.
Silence.
I'll go. Sven Gallop.
Oh, yeah, I think that's some pretty obvious stuff. Do you have any...
Most obvious, because he was the most douchiest douche and got no comeuppance.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about Sven Gallop. Does anybody have anything else?
Can we include the movie?
Yeah, sure, include the movie.
Storm King. I absolutely despise Storm King.
All right, Past, you and I have to have a conversation in the parking lot after the stream. I just want to talk. Just
wants to talk with his car.
No, the reason I don't like Storm King is that I think he is such the Hasbro definition of a villain. Yep. Like, he has no personality other than he's a boy that doesn't like girly things. Like, there's nothing to him. And granted, Discord annoys me on a lot of occasions.
He's the marketing department. How is that not hilarious?
The thing is that he didn't have anything. He was just a joke. Once he got the power, he just played with it.
So the guy has a sense of humor. Big deal. So does the Joker.
To me, I thought that he was, blame the marketing, but the marketing did get to me.
Yeah, he's the Dr. Draken of the Pony movie. He is. He's the one that's comical, and the real threat is Shigo.
For me, I
think that is a bad comparison because that is an insult to Draco.
But question about the question: does this have to be a villain, or can it just be any character?
Just any character that we haven't talked about already.
Okay, if this one actually might come a bit of a surprise, but I'd have to say Captain Solano from the movie, because, because seriously, like, I don't hate her on that kind of level, but in reality, I just don't think we needed that whole scene on the pirate ship.
Nope, we did not.
Because by the time the movie kind of got to that scene and that song, it just felt like, okay, like at this point, this feels like you're kind of going from one set to the other here. Like,
yeah, this is just a toy commercial that's lasting too long now. Let's go to the next set.
I mean, aesthetically it's cool, but I just don't think we needed that. So, Solano, I'm afraid, bye-bye, Bernie.
Alrighty then. Filmer, what's our next question?
Brown says Timber Spruce is Donald Trump. Oh God, the confirmation.
No, literally nobody said that ever except for him.
Yeah, and not to mention, you are wrong.
So he's probably got more hair.
He's fake news.
Oh my God, you stole it right as I was about to say it, DJ. All right. Paladin Pony T had another question. He wants us to so 3 characters that we liked at first, but disliked later, and said from any medium, from any show or any medium. Now for me, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say Korra from Legend of Korra, and then I'm also going to say also from Legend of Korra, Kariva was really cool, and then I hated her guts. But for my third character, I'm going to cheat and say the entire cast is Steven Universe minus Greg. DJ, 3 characters, any medium that you liked and then disliked.
Before you go on, I just gotta ask, I'm a little surprised that you liked any of them from the beginning.
Korra had better villains. That is it.
Universe. I mean, you liked any of the characters. Like, I would have imagined from the get-go, you wouldn't have liked any of them except Greg.
Yeah, I mean, I liked him at first, but then I didn't.
Interesting.
Yep, and when it was over, Greg was all that was left. DJ, 3 characters, any medium. You liked them and then you didn't.
I don't think I have any. Mine are always in reverse. I always hate them at the start and then like them.
Huh. Filmer, how about you? 3 characters. Filmer's drawn to... okay, so Flash Sentry, Rainbow Dash, and who else?
Starlight Glimmer.
Okay, so very typical Brony, but valid nonetheless. Past analysis, your 3 characters.
Ooh, this is a toughie. It's kind of the same as...
This is like a whole show itself.
Yeah, well, like, there's not that many characters that fall into this role for me. Can someone else do before I do? Because I'm really having trouble thinking about this.
Yeah, I'll go. My first one, like Brony, I'm going to have to cheat here because it's not really so much a character as it is an actual person. This was and it's Billy Mitchell. The old Pac-Man thing controversy, because I just thought while I was willing to give this guy a shot, it seems like his attitude as of late has been not something that I approve of. I think he does have legitimate gaming skills, but he should have done something about this a long time ago. And like false flagging people on YouTube, that's a no-go. No, you don't do that, dude. But anyway, but as for my other 2 characters, so one that I liked and then just started to hate. Are you coming along with yours, Filmer?
Well, Filmer already did his. Malcontent, 3 characters.
3 characters?
3 characters that you liked.
Medium.
Any medium that you liked and then didn't like.
Kim Possible.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah. She started out interesting, but then she just started getting on my damn nerves. And then, let's see. Snively from Sonic. He was fun for being amusing, and then they tried to make him a real villain at the end, which is a lesson that maybe someone should have learned before they did that. And let's see. Oh, Starfire from Teen Titans.
I'm going to have to steal your one for Snively, because that's actually a good call.
Thank you.
Really? Starfire? That's interesting.
She was amusing and cute at first, but then when she can't use proper contractions and things, it starts getting on my nerves. But that's just personal.
I'm sorry I interrupted you, Cruiser. What were you saying?
Okay, for my third one, I'm just gonna throw this one out there. I may get some hate for it, but it would have to be that one dog creature from Disney's Gargoyles. I can't remember his name. Bronx, was that his name?
Bronx, yeah.
But just because he was literally just a prop.
Yep.
He really was. He was just a dog character for Hudson. That's all he was.
Yep.
Now, keep in mind, I don't necessarily hate him, but I just think, the show, I don't think would have been any different if they had.
But you could take him out, and it would literally be the same show. Yeah.
It's the gargoyles. It's the gargoyles from Hunchback of Notre Dame all over again. It's the Disney version of Donnie from The Wild Thornberries.
Oh God, yeah, that should have been another one of mine. I don't care if he is voiced by Flea. You don't need him.
All right, Filmer. What else do we have? Oh wait, Past. You never went, did you? I'm sorry.
I never did. I'm gonna cheat.
Go ahead, Pat.
So really, I don't have like a character that I can remember, but I would say the entire cast of Teen Titans Go. I used to like it, season 1, but then it kind of got old fast.
Yeah, I don't even qualify that as a show, but I mean, what? Oh, who let the dogs out?
Yeah, you spoke the forbidden words, Teen Titans Go, and it angered the dogs. That's like saying Frau Blucher and not expecting the horses to whinny. Nobody else got that joke, and I'm upset. Okay.
No, I know exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah, Filmer, what else do we have?
Brown says, ponies, butts, hashtag splay everything.
Oh.
I don't get it.
I don't get it
Sounds
either.
like a
I'm
tweet.
going to pretend you guys didn't hear. Britton Merkley says, hey guys, did you hear? Venezuela opened fire on a cruise liner, and Trump is now sending out the Navy.
Okay, can we like drop the political stuff, please?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I said,
I mean, yeah, I knew about that, but and it's insane, but wrong time and place. Elizabeth Osborne said to me, in A Royal Problem, what would happen if Starlight's psyche got damaged by her nightmares, I'm assuming. Plus, Timber Spruce and Flash Sentry are cliche, and yes, I agree, they have some cliches. If Starlight's psyche got damaged by her nightmare, I'm pretty sure it would end up resulting in something similar to what she was like in Season 5, but maybe also with elements of the Joker in there, which is absolutely terrifying as a concept to me.
I think I forget who it was, but another reviewer actually, based on that episode, how she was feeling, if Starlight's psyche had been damaged, their hypothesis was she would become like a shut-in, afraid to try anything and never speak her mind again. Because a lot of that was her running on instinct.
Yeah, that's actually a lot more plausible than what I put down. Good job, DJ.
Actually, yeah.
I forget who that was, though. It wasn't from me. It was someone. I think it was it Josh? I want to say it was Scorcher.
Alrighty then. So let's see here. Filmer, do we have anything else?
As a matter of fact, we do.
All right, let's hear it.
Royal Silver says, question for Brownie and the streamers. If they see this, what creature or which creature would you have wanted to see in Season 9? A Were Timberwolf, a Craxolist, or Ghost Rider pony?
Okay, so a Were Timberwolf, a Kraken, a Basilisk, or a Ghost Rider pony. What would we have liked to see in Season 9? Well, if I had to choose between any of those options, I would have said a Kraken, because I think Krakens are pretty scary. What do you guys think?
I would probably have to go with that Were Timberwolf because I thought they weren't used enough. I like the whole T1000 liquid metal element they had about going with them. They could have been a real threat.
Alrighty then.
For me,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me for interrupting.
DJ, which one would you have liked to have seen?
What was the last one?
Okay, so Ghost Rider pony, Basilisk, Kraken, or a Were Timberwolf.
I would say Ghost Rider, but I'm not sure how they could do it without paying Marvel royalties.
We'll just parody it enough.
I would have to go with Ghost Rider as well because I mean, who doesn't love the story of Ichabod Crane?
I will be voting for the Kraken.
Alrighty then, and Filmer, which one would you have liked to have seen?
Definitely a Ghost Rider pony.
Well, we all seem to be leaning towards the Ghost Rider, except for Mel and I. He wanted the werewolf, and I wanted the Kraken.
And I wanted the Kraken too.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't hear that pass. Sorry about that. But you guys seem to be forgetting there was a Ghost Rider in the show. It was whoever was giving show notes to Larson during the writing of Fame and Misfortune. Oh wait, no, we said Ghost Rider, not Ghost Writer.
Aha.
Aha.
You need to sound more convincing when you're doing that, Brony.
I'm sure I do.
Yeah,
but
you
it's
missed a comma in there.
It's a Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider did Fame and Misfortune, not Ghost Rider. Anyway, I'm gonna call it there. So thanks to everybody who came out and listened to the stream, despite all of my stuttering tonight. I hope you all had fun listening and learned something along the way. That'd be nice too. Big thanks to all of my very generous Patreon supporters. Many of you guys, I saw you guys in the chat. Thanks for coming out. Especially those guys on the $10 and up tiers. These are Princess Heather Blossom, Shady Oak Ministries, Sid McConroy, Autoknight, Emerald Spencer, Sodden Girder, Senko, Jennan Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, and the Equestrian City Heroverse series written by our friend in the chat, Malcontent here. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to check out everybody's links in the description. And so Cruiser, did you have fun tonight?
Had a blast.
All right, how about you, Mel?
I had a blast too. I always do when I get in here. It's just like a big old party. But anybody out there listening, just try to stay as safe as you can with the way the world is right now. And I'll catch you.
Yep, protect yourself at all time. What were you saying, Cruiser? I'm sorry I cut you off.
It's been a blast. And yes, I do agree, stay safe. But also, the next time you're getting involved with the fandom and you see one of these breakouts happen over a character, instead of going with the crowd, how about you actually just sit down with someone and talk and see if there's any legitimate criticism before you go with the herd.
I take it. Past. How about you? Did you have fun tonight?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun. I think that with all of these characters, it's interesting. I didn't know if I would fall in the same camp as a lot of people on Starlight, so it was fun that apparently I'm not in the minority on that one.
Alrighty then, and DJ, how about you?
It's been pretty okay.
All right.
I sadly wasn't able to contribute as much as I'd like to, but the salt was fun.
That's all that matters. And Filmer, thank you so much for manning the chat tonight. Did you have fun?
I had my first try on reading the chats, but other than that, I had fun.
All right, that's all that matters. Thanks so much for taking care of that for me tonight. All right, so real quick, I want to give an announcement out there. Tomorrow, we're doing LooneyCon amidst the coronavirus outbreak. A few conventions got canceled, so some folks stepped up to the plate and started hosting their own online Brony conventions to make up for it. One was by our good friend Looney Turtle. And so tomorrow in the afternoon, Cruiser and I are, along with Silver Quill, we're going to be doing a panel together. We're going to be doing another debate on the death of the author trope at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Cruiser Brony's channel. I hope you guys go to that one, and I also hope you come to Princess Heather Blossom's Chaos and Crocheting live stream at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And listen to us talk about how we got into ponies and how we got into crocheting and learn a little bit about crocheting. It should be fun. And then, of course, next week we've got Friday Night Fights, and I hope to see all of you at all of these streams and all the future streams. Thanks so much for coming out. You guys rock, and have a great night. Say goodbye, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Speaking of Unicon,
Good night, everybody.
I'm doing the Twitch stream before Sunday. As a matter of fact, I'm hosting my very first panel, which is titled "Behind the Content," and it's going to be Sunday from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock Midwestern Standard Time.
Oh man, I wish you told me about that sooner. I'd be plugging it for you. But yeah, let's call it there, Filmer. Congratulations, and yeah, we'll catch you all tomorrow.
Good night, everybody.